it's always about going the extra mile. When people say, what is the key to success? Will you go the extra mile? Will you manage your time? Will you stay focused? Will you get lost in love land? Will you get on drugs? Will you get, so part of the dance is understanding that, can you win? Yes. Will you win? Day shift versus night shift.
Hey everybody, it's Samantha Chatman with Mama I Made It. We have such a special guest, a visionary, a legendary director, comedian, Chicagoan, actor, like I said, a legend, the Robert Townsend. Robert Townsend is in the house, back in Chicago, back in your hometown. How does it feel to be back?
It feels wonderful, and thank you for such a wonderful introduction.
Oh, of course, and just necessary, because when you walked in, I'm like, we have a legend in the house. I want to talk about when we first met. I won't say the show, but I was doing a cameo. I was acting, and I'm like, gosh, this gentleman looks so familiar. That's the director. That can't be the legendary Robert Townsend. I can't be in an episode directed by the legendary Robert Townsend.
Bless you.
And you came up to me, and you're coaching me in this role. I won't give it away.
Yes, ma'am.
Because it's not out yet. But you're coaching me. You're so kind, so gentle with me, just so gracious. And I just had chills, and I had to watch myself because I'm like, okay, I'm here for a job. I cannot fan out all of these other actors who I'm sure have credits on credits on credits. And here's little old me with my cameo directed by Robert Townsend. My goodness. So first of all, you are a West Sider.
Yes,
we're here
ma'am.
in Chicago. What was it like growing up on the West Side? Tell me about your upbringing, your household.
I grew up on the West Side, 4447 West Van Buren, and we moved around a lot. My mother raised 4 children on her own, and my stepfather, he was a good guy, but we moved around a lot. So for me, it all began on the West Side. That's where I fell in love with acting. I fell in love with directing. I started at XBAG, Experimental Black Actors Guild, on 67th and Marquette. My first director and mentor was Mr. Paymoon Rami, and to this day he's still my mentor. And everything that started in Chicago started because of him. I was an extra in Mahogany with Billy D. and Diana Ross because of him. I was in Cooley High. He had Lawrence Hilton Jacobs and Glenn Turman and Michael Schultz come to see me in the play at XBAG, and I got a part in the film. So I did a lot of theater on the West Side. I was at Lamont Zeno, Better Boys Foundation, where they had their theater. I was in Black Fairy. I was Stagger Lee, and I was Mr. Moon, and I played all these parts. And it all started on the West Side. And let me say this. When I think about writing, directing, producing, like Hollywood Shuffle and the things that I've done, I learned all my manners at that theater on the West Side because I watched somebody doing what I wanted to do. Mr. Rami was writing, directing, producing. And so when I think about how little things can become big things, it all started there.
When you think about acting, directing, and producing, the West Side may not automatically come to mind for many people. What do you want people to know about the West Side and all of the richness that it has on that side of town?
Well, it's so funny. There's one movie that comes to mind that reminds me of my childhood and what the West Side feels like, and that's Claudine. So when I see the movie Claudine, the soundtrack by Curtis Mayfield, the energy, it was, like when people think about, like they said, I'm from the hood was always, glorious for me. It was always joyous. I couldn't, even with the, like Stone and Robert in Cooley High, you had those gangsters and stuff, but there was, like I'm working on a book right now about my life. And so I was working on this chapter about, I went to West Garfield Upper Grade Center, and we would get robbed at lunchtime. And so we would go in the bathroom, and then they would line us up, and they would put our hands, you put your hands in the air. And at the time, I wanted to be a magician. And I knew how to palm coins with my fingers. And so when they came into the bathroom, I'd flip my quarters like this, and I'd be like this. And I just remember they would tap your pocket and they would say, all I find, all I keep. All I find, all I keep. And I remember my fingers were sweating, you know, like this. And they never found my money. And they found my best friend Calvin's money. They jingled his pocket and it was like a scene out of a movie. All of them looked over at Calvin. They heard that money. Goes, all I find, I keep. Me heard jingle, jingle. And everybody went like, you know. And, you know, so anyway. But all of that came out of, when I think about the West Side, my childhood, it's all Claudine.
The show is called Mama, I Made It. I'm curious if you could tell me more about your mother raising, you said 4 children
yes.
on the West Side. What was that like for her, and what was your connection like with your mother?
My mother was always my biggest fan. And so I remember when I got, when I was in the first play at X-Bag, I only had 2 lines, but I learned the whole script. And so by the time, you know, it was community theater, so people would drop out, and I go, I know his part. I know his part. I know her part, you know? And by the time the show opened, I was doing 7 different characters. And the Chicago Defender singled me out in the reviews. Robert Townsend is somebody to watch. At the opening night party, my mother comes over with 2 glasses of punch, and she goes, baby, this is where you belong. Oh and I was like, and that's how it started.
That's how it started. I think I read, actually I don't think, I'm pretty sure I read that your grandmother, did she buy into the theater world?
No, she was a hater.
Okay, I didn't want to say that.
She was a hater.
I didn't want to come out and say it, but she wasn't really feeling this.
Well, see, here's the thing. What you have to understand is, like, I get it. Back then, you made good money by working at the post office. Mr. Griffin, who lived next door to us, he was a supervisor at the post office. His son worked there. His daughter worked there. So you want security for your baby. So it's like, you know, no, get a job. No, I got these dreams. I think I could write movies and direct movies. And so it's like, I remember one time over dinner, she says, who do you know in show business? And I was like, nobody. How do you think you gonna make it? I just feel it. I just know, you know, and you know, one of the chapters in my book is called God Whispers in My Ear. And every step of the way, there's a little whisper that goes, go left, go right. And sometimes when I go left, the gang was over on the right. Sometimes when I go left, the car was coming. And so it's kind of like my faith, when people say, how have you made it? How have you, year after year, decades, and your films are classics. God. You know, so it's like my faith. My faith has always been strong.
Do you think it was your faith that helped you cancel out the noise from even your grandmother, who was saying this is a pipe dream?
You know, yeah. You know, because I never disrespected her. Because my mother was at work at the post office, and my grandmother would be watching us. And then I learned early on not to share my dreams with everyone. That's something that's key. Be careful who you share your dreams with. So my grandmother, because first time I said it to her, I'm gonna be an actor, I'm gonna be on TV. You gonna be on TV? Mm-hmm, yeah, right, baby. What you know, who you know. And then I just said, okay, don't ever share again. And so when she said all the negative stuff, at a certain point, I just let it go through this ear, not that ear. And I think a lot of people, like I'm doing a master class at the Pop-Up Film Festival. Part of the thing I want to do at the master class is give people some inspiration, because a lot of filmmakers are really talented. Like we were talking about your father's documentary, and I saw you sitting on the fence, and that's why I was like, what are you doing? Don't talk about it, be about it. And my whole thing is that he's a legend and he hasn't gotten his due. So I see you, and when you say that, and I go like, oh, I know who he is. And then I'm like, no, I don't know his story. I'm here because I want artists to be born. There's so many people that are sitting on the fence that have great ideas, but they'll never do it because they just need a little bit of nudging.
It's that word fear.
Yeah,
fear is huge. It's crippling. And for many people, if you haven't seen it done before, it can't happen. Or you're just so terrified that, you know what, I'm just going to take the path of least resistance.
Yes, I've always been hard-headed. When we did Hollywood Shuffle, I had never directed anything. Not even a short. I didn't know anything about filmmaking, but I was so concerned about the negative images of people of color that I said, I got to do something. I don't care. And I had made $60,000 I had done a film called A Soldier's Story with Denzel, David Allen Greer, Howard Rollins, and I had done American Flyers with Kevin Costner. So I saved this money, and people were like, "You'll get a Porsche, you'll get a Jag." And I said, "No, I'm gonna make a movie." And then people were like, "You make a movie with $60,000? I could do it." And because I come from the West Side, I'm a hustler. You know, you gotta survive. So that little film took me around the world. It was done for $100,000, 60 in my bank account, the rest with credit cards, and I was just teaching myself. The film eventually shot in 12 days. The film eventually made $8 million, and I made $1 million. It wasn't a bad day. It wasn't a bad day.
Not at all.
Not at all.
I want to talk about Hollywood Shuffle in just a bit, but going back to your pop-up,
Yes.
It's in partnership with the City of Chicago, D-Case, shout out to D-Case, and obviously thank you as well. We're in this beautiful theater as well with D-Case. I want to talk more about, we're in the Claudia Cassidy Theater, I should mention. I want to talk more about this pop-up festival. How did it come about, and why is this so important to you?
Well, I was in Los Angeles, and I was watching the news about everything going on in Chicago, and the police, and the da-da-da-da, and the marching, and the da-da-da-da, and I said, wait a minute, that's my city. I love Chicago. What am I going to do? And then Carl Brinson, who is the president of the West Side branch of the NAACP, he's been my friend since we were kids playing basketball. And I called Carl, and I said, I want to do something, man. Hey, let's raise money, just in case, I know stuff is going to go down, and I just want to make sure you have more money in your coffers. And so Carl says, real? I said, yeah. And then Deborah Vines, who has the Answer Inc., a foundation that helps with, autism advocacy.
She's a beautiful person.
She's a beautiful person. And so I said, I want her to benefit too. And then I called Troy Pryor, because I had been here at XL. And then I got on the phone and called the president of Columbia College, President Bolton, and she goes, I'm in. And so
she's a sister, right?
Yes.
Yes, I met
Yes.
her at the Urban League Gala for the first time.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I called everybody, and everybody said yes. And then I was like, I've never done a pop-up film festival, but I'm going to show my movies that mean something to me. I want to have a game night where everybody can come and play games. I want to teach a master class. So and then I want to have a comedy show. So I'm like a little kid. I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to do that. And so that's what we're doing on December 6th and December 7th.
That's incredible. What are you hoping that creatives get out of this weekend?
I hope that those that come leave with artistic and spiritual food, that they are alive, they're waking up. If they're sitting on the sideline, they take action. They go like, wow, I have a voice. Because sometimes people get sluggish. Sometimes, they get beat down, they get gook on them. Everybody has dreams, and then at a certain point, somebody goes, you can't do it. And then you got to shake off all that negativity and go, I'm doing it. And so I think sometimes, because people go like, you're from the West Side, how did you do it? Because I was able to protect my dream. Watch your words. Words are very powerful. If you say it's going to be a bad day, it's going to be a bad day.
See, that's where I get torn, because they say manifest it, speak it into existence.
Yes.
But then some people say, protect it, don't tell nobody your plans, don't say nothing. So which one?
Wait, no. You know those that really have your back. And you know those that go, you're like, oh, that's good luck with that documentary. That's all they got to say. They ain't got to say nothing bad.
You can feel it.
You can feel it. And so sometimes a lot of young creatives, they're on social media and they're just talking, but they're not doing the work. Like, do the work. So part of my master class on Saturday at 9 o'clock, sometimes people don't know. Writing, directing, producing is a muscle. The more you do it, the stronger your muscle gets. It doesn't matter sometimes. It's like, what if it's not good? It doesn't matter. I did a film called Holiday Heart with Ving Rhames and Alfre Woodard. Alfre got nominated for a Golden Globe. So when the reviews came out, they said, this is the greatest television movie of all time. And then some people say, this is the worst television movie of all time. The head of the studio, Jerry Offsay, he goes, Robert, he says, I want you to learn something here. And I said, what's the lesson, Jerry? He goes, it doesn't matter. Were you happy? I said, yeah, I challenged myself. I pushed myself. So I'm happy. I'm good. So I think when I think about where I came from, this city, and some of the creatives here, I think sometimes people, they allow life to beat up on them. They don't understand how to manage their time. So in my master class, I break everything down.
So when you look at Five Heartbeats, that is a movie that so many people resonate with. Many of my friends who weren't even born when it came out, they say that's their favorite movie of all time. They're quoting it up and down, left and right. They know it. Many people, I mean, the chemistry was so rich, many people thought that the Five Heartbeats was an actual group. And I'm sure you've heard that plenty of times as
I got in trouble. I did Lena's interview, Lena Waithe, her interview, Legacy, and she was asking me about the Five Heartbeats, and I told her about the story. When David Ruffin passed, we went to the funeral, and me and Michael Wright, who plays Eddie in the film, and when we were at the funeral, the usher comes over and he goes, Five Heartbeats, I knew y'all was coming. I saved seats for y'all next to the Temptations and the Miracles. And he said, y'all need to tour, man. Y'all, and he thought we were a real group. I said we weren't a real group, and online it went viral, and people were like, Rob. So I want to go on camera and say we are a real group.
Okay.
We'll be touring next year.
Thank you. You don't want to crush people's dreams.
Exactly.
But that, and forgive me, that is the film that didn't do well at the box office.
Yes.
That is such an incredible film. It's legendary. That could have been enough to make you throw your hands up too. I mean, for some creatives, when they are that invested in a project and they're getting so much great feedback, but it doesn't do well. I mean, even in like nowadays, your streaming numbers got to be up, and if they're not, then it must not have been good. That
Right.
could have been enough for you. I mean, you had enough body of work prior to that, but nonetheless, that could have been enough for you to just say, am I going in the right direction?
Well, the way I look at it is like this with success. If you can take the lows with the highs, you never have a bad day. I never really have a bad day. And I don't even work. I love what I do. So I never have had a job. Like I'm talking with you right now, and you're on this path, this journey, and we've worked together, and here we are, full circle moment. So I just look at life is what you make it. These are all life lessons. Everything. The Five Heartbeats did what it was supposed to do. As much as people say it didn't make money at the box office, it is on television every day. It is showing. There's clips, people acting gang. My office hours are. Halloween, people are dressing up as Big Red and all the people. So did I win? Yes, I did.
You absolutely did. What was the inspiration behind the film? I saw an interview where you pointed back to Chicago and,
Yes.
and Herb Kent, the cool gent.
Yep, that was in 1968 when I was a kid, and I did WVON Today, and he came on the radio and he goes, the Temptations are breaking up, and David Ruffin is leaving the group, and Dennis Edwards is replacing him. And I was like, oh, what? No, what's going on? Because the one comfort food we had as a kid living in the hood was music. And Motown was right over there. And so those songs, have a house in the country, 2 children, I mean, oh my God. So when they broke up, my comfort food was like, and so it stayed in my head like, why did they break up? Did they really have love in their lives? What happened? And that's what started the journey. So once I did Hollywood Shuffle, I said to Keenan, we should do a movie about a singing group. And Keenan was like, I said, but no. It's really a Trojan horse because all the movies with black men were all stereotypical. I said, let's show them 5 different black men. And that's how we started. And then you get Choir Boy, you get Duck, you get Eddie, you get JT, you get Dresser, and we're all different. So it was a Trojan horse too. I had an agenda. I always have an agenda with my work because I want people to watch, but I don't want them to know that it's medicine.
Was it hard to get that film greenlit because before that we hadn't seen anything like that before? So was it a challenge?
It was a challenge. I mean, I did a documentary that's out called Making the Five Heartbeats, and in the documentary I talk about every studio. Me and Keenan thought we were getting a green light because of Hollywood Shuffle, and then every studio passed. And eventually I had a new manager, and they convinced the studio to give us the green light. And it was still, like when you watch the documentary, it was still rocky, but my faith is strong.
I heard, and you can clarify, that there was a certain Chicagoan who auditioned to be a part of the Five Heartbeats film.
Yes. So let me say this. When I had my auditions, here I did open calls because I'm always looking for new talent. And so I did my open call. 2,000, 3,000 people showed up at the Regal. And this gentleman was in a group and he was singing, and there was something about him that I said, he's special. He's got a voice and there's something. And I didn't, in the documentary you see me talking to him and everything, and then I didn't know it at the time, but the gentleman would become R. Kelly. And so he would have been one of the heartbeats, but I didn't know what to do with him. I just knew he was talented.
You knew he was talented.
I knew he was talented.
Gosh. Going to Raw now. So I was on the phone with my mom last night.
Okay.
Mama, I made it. And my mom's like, do you know I'm watching Eddie Murphy's Raw? And I just happen to be looking at the credits. I don't really be looking at the credits so much. And do you know Robert Townsend directed that? I'm like, yeah, Mom, I've been studying him for the last several days. So she's like, that's a classic. I'm like, Mom, I know. So I'm curious, do you think a comedy film like Raw could be released in 2025? Because it's raw.
It is raw. I mean, here's the thing. Yes and no, because people are very sensitive now. I mean, before, comedians, that's what we do. We tell jokes, and and you joke on the square. It's like in the medieval times, the fool in King Lear. The fool was always the smart one. He was really smart. He just used words and played with words. So I think Eddie, he said some really crazy stuff, but it was really funny.
So you do think that it would play in 2025?
Here's the thing. There are certain people, because Eddie had such, and he still has, a childlike quality to him, he doesn't mean anything that he's saying. So his energy, like Richard Pryor was a kid. He could say crazy stuff, but he had childlike energy. If he had heavier energy, I don't think it would play. But I think, it's like Dave Chappelle walks right up to that fence, so yes.
When we talk about comedians, because you're a comedian yourself, who's in your Mount Rushmore of comedians? And I know I'm putting you on the spot there.
Oh my God.
Mount Rushmore of comedians, who's your top 5?
Well, I'm a student of comedy. So Richard Pryor would definitely be there. A gentleman who makes me laugh, and people don't know him, he was in the film called The Producers. Dick Shawn would be on my mountain. Eddie Murphy would be on the mountain. Dave Chappelle would be on the mountain. And Rudy Ray Moore.
Okay.
Rudy Ray Moore. When I was a kid, I'm writing in my book right now, and I spent my summers in Hannibal, Missouri. So we would drive to Hannibal, Missouri. And I went to my Aunt Betty's house, and like down in Hannibal, you never locked your doors. It was like, it's from Tom Sawyer, it's known for Mark Twain and all that. But anyway, I was writing in my journal. They left me in the house at 12 years old because, a kid by himself, everybody's watching the neighborhood, you're good. And so I was being nosy, and they had these albums. And I was looking through the albums, and then I saw this album with these people around a card table, and they were half-dressed black people looking really funny, and it was Rudy Ray Moore, and I laughed so hard I thought I was going to die.
That did it for you.
That did it for me, and that's what started, like my love of Rudy Ray Moore.
Gonna put you on the spot one more time. You have worked with so many incredible, legendary creators, actors, legends. Is there one in particular that you can say, man, when I watched them work, when I watched them act, when I saw them in their element, they blew me away to the point where I still can't even believe it?
Man, I had many. Beyonce's audition for Carmen, that was spectacular because I saw the superstar in the making. Alfre Woodard in Holiday Heart, she just exploded. James Earl Jones, Meteor Man. Billy D. Williams, this web series, A Diary of a Single Mom. James Earl Jones, crying in Meteor Man. he cried so hard. I was like, I thought something was wrong with him. I was like, you okay, man? Cut. Are you okay? You know, why did you cut, Robert? Why did you cut? Let's go again one more time. And he could just cry on cue. And I was like, oh my, genius. So different people for different reasons.
Mentorship, I know, is important to you because I've met people who refer to you as a mentor or just someone that they look up to and highly regard. I'm curious, who was your mentor?
In Chicago, it was Mr. Rami, Mr. Paymoon Rami. In Hollywood, it was Sidney Poitier. So between him and Mr. Harry Belafonte, I went to many vacations with Mr. Belafonte, and so he would, school me and educate. And I remember going to his house, and he has the original Martin Luther King "I Have a Dream" speech on his wall. And he showed me that on the study, and I was like looking at, Dr. King's writing. I was like, oh my God. So, like being here in Chicago, it's because of them. They were on the front lines in the 60s. They didn't care about Hollywood celebrity. They were like, if we don't stand up, we're in trouble. So.
With Sidney Poitier, is there a piece of advice that he gave you that still rings true to this day?
Oh yeah. He would say, I remember the first time I met him at the Polo Lounge in Beverly Hills, and he was like, I haven't done that many films. I've chose my roles carefully. There is power in no. I didn't accept everything that came along. And I was like, power in no. And that was, it blew my mind because he hadn't done as many films as his counterparts. And he says, I was always very particular about what I did. And so I hold that in my heart. I've always said no to stuff that I didn't believe in or didn't feel good to my spirit.
My mom has always said, give people something to miss, don't overexpose yourself. Give people something to miss. But for people who are acting, especially right now in this climate, saying no may be a radical concept when you need a job and you need to make some money.
Well, the thing is that there's nothing wrong with getting a job. See, a lot of creatives now, they go like, I won't do that, but I learned a lot when I was a bank teller. I learned a lot by being an extra. That's how I learned how to direct, by being an extra. So when you watch and you learn and like, oh, that's where they put in the camera. Oh, that's the makeup person. Oh, no, he's the camera guy. Oh, that's the cinematographer. So that's where I learned. And so there's nothing, if you worked at a regular job while you're funding, I call it the day shift versus the night shift. The day shift pays the bills. The night shift is where you live. Wild horses couldn't stop me from creating. I'm going to create. But if you go like, no, I'm gonna sleep on my mama's couch and I ain't gonna do nothing unless I can act. No, really great actors, they get characters. Like when I was doing my odd jobs, oh, that guy's a character at the bank. Oh, that's a great character. Oh, I worked at a parking lot. Oh, I was watching people, it fed my creative soul. It wasn't a negative.
You said a whole bar. The day shift, can you repeat that? The day shift is where you...
The day shift pays the bills. The night shift is where you live. That's where you live. If you're really about it, when you do the night shift, nobody can stop you. I don't care what time it is. We all have 24 hours in a day. How do you manage your 24 hours? Well, I want to watch the game. The reality show, I'm on my phone. Oh, you just wasted 5 of your hours. Oh, okay, I see what's up there. I really want the dream, but did you see what the housewife did? Oh my God. She spit in her face. Oh my God, girl, get on the phone, girl. Like my daughters, my daughters are funny. And so, but no, if you manage your time, you can do anything. Like if I broke down your week and I said, how much time are you wasting? How much time are you in blah, blah, blah. And then if I said, cut, carve out an hour for your dad here. Carve out another hour for the documentary here. Hey, can you make 25 calls tomorrow? And then leave it go. You're gonna get no. I tell people all the time, if you really want to be in show business, you've got to hear 700 no's before you get out.
1,000%. Even in news, I applied for probably 150 to 200 jobs. I still somehow can go back to my Yahoo email and I can see.
Wow.
I can see. I'm like, and it's similar headline, but I always, change the call letters for the news station. No response, no response. We're not hiring. No response, no response. I got one call back out of college. One. Peoria, Illinois. WEEK, WHOI. Where I was a multimedia journalist, shot, wrote, edit, everything. $19,000 a year.
That's where God put you.
Yep. And
it
worked out.
But see, what people don't understand is that all you need is one yes.
One.
That's it.
And now I'm in my hometown of Chicago.
Yes. But see, part of the dance is being fearless. How bad do you want your dream? Like I want it, I love it, I still do. Like you feel my energy, I feel your energy. And you've been on set with me. So you go like, oh, he comes in and he comes in to direct. I was like, so when I direct, you see my laser focus. You had that whole monologue to do. I came over with laser focus. Okay, let's talk about it. How are you gonna do it?
And I've never, listen, I've had other cameos before doing something similar, and I've never experienced that, ever. It's usually just, okay, let's do it again. All right, let's do it again. No shade to them. They got a job to do, but
yes.
I've never had, because in my mind, and again, I'm not downplaying myself, but in my mind, I'm like, I'm doing my little thing. They've got all of these other big actors around me. I'm gonna do my little part. You left your post, came up to me, looked me in my eye, and you said, okay, and we won't get into the specifics, but you broke it down.
Well,
you said, let's try it like this.
Let me explain something. When you do episodic television, there's 10 episodes, or there's 12 episodes. Every director wants to have their episode submitted for the Emmys, the Golden Globes, the People's Choice Awards. Every time I direct an episode, it's my episode that gets submitted. So like the episode we did is submitted. Yes, because it's, let me say this, it's always about going the extra mile. When people say, what is the key to success? Will you go the extra mile? Will you manage your time? Will you stay focused? Will you get lost in love land? Will you get on drugs? Will you get, so part of the dance is understanding that, can you win? Yes. Will you win? Day shift versus night shift.
Many have said that there would be no such thing as Black Hollywood if it weren't for you. Many people have said this. How does it make you feel when you hear that?
Well, I don't know about, that's a big,
This is what many established people say. So you gotta receive it.
The thing that I would say is that when I think about doing Hollywood Shuffle, which is when I was born, like there's certain times when you're born, and everyone can be born if they choose to be born. I chose to be born in that moment. There were so many people that were afraid. We did a movie in 12 days, the whole movie. And I'm the co-writer with Keenan Ivory Wayans. I'm the director, I'm the producer, I'm the star, and I'm the first AD. Background, places, let's go again one more time, zombie pimps. All right, here we go, and action. Now, how can you do that? I was sitting at the Paris Theater in New York City. They had reopened after COVID. And they said, for our week of indie films, we're gonna show Citizen Kane, we're gonna show this, and we wanna show Hollywood Shuffle. And I was sitting there, and when I was watching the credits, I was like, wow, this movie still holds up. And then I saw Alexander Townsend, first AD, and I was like, who is Alexander Townsend? And I was like, oh, it's me. Because I didn't want to have Robert Townsend. Robert Townsend does everything, and I had Alexander. And it just made me realize how hard we worked, and we won.
That's incredible. Hollywood, in the industry, it's an interesting time. COVID and then the strike, some have argued that it still hasn't rebounded from that. What do you think it will take for it to make a full comeback?
Well, let me say this. I never really pay attention to what people say. I'm sorry, because who are they that say? Because you could look and say, they're still making movies, they're still making TV shows, they're still shooting. I'm still shooting. Part of the dance is sometimes you have to pivot. It's understanding a pivot. COVID was a pivot. All of a sudden I had to direct in the mask, I had to do this, I have a shield on. Actors over here, background, here we go. You pivot. Right now, the strike, you go, okay, the studios are coming back, they're coming back a little slow, but where's the pivot? Where's the pivot? Where's the pivot? And I think some people don't think pivot. They just go, everything's down now. No, it's not. Some people are still making a lot of money. I want to be on that side. I'm not going to be on the side of like, yeah, whoa, whoa, whoa. No, because see, again, as young creatives, you're being fed a lot of stuff. If you're fed other stuff that says, you're going to be the biggest thing in Chicago, you're going to go higher than Oprah could ever imagine, you're going to build an empire, your father's documentary is going to win an Academy Award. That's how you should be talking. And you could do it. And when I said it, I saw it over your whole body. You took it in. Now you said, nobody's ever said that to me. Could you? Yes. Yes. But if you're hearing all that nonsense, like my grandmother, and it went out this ear. I would eat my food, and she goes like, you're not going to make it. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I'm going to do some shit. Yes, I am. I didn't care. I didn't care. And so I'm from the West Side. So nobody can tell me nothing. So when people talk about, my daddy wasn't around, and my mama and my sister and my cousin and the gang and the neighborhood and the drugs and the da-da-da, I was there too. I just didn't take it in.
Let's talk about collaboration. How important is it, especially in this day and age where funding is scaled back for many projects? DEI rollbacks, there are creators out there who they said they have taken a hit because of it. Mm-hmm. How important is it for us to come together and collaborate on projects as opposed to just continuing to try to do it on my own? Do we need to be coming together more?
I exist because of Keenan Ivory Wayans. Because Keenan spoke life into me when I was figuring out what I wanted to do and direct. So collaboration is good. There's certain people that have a me attitude. And so if you share the spotlight, you know, there's enough for everybody. Everybody can eat. But if you make it about you, like I don't, you know, like my whole thing is that it's about speaking life. At the end of the day, this is all we have and this is who we are.
I'm curious, AI.
Yes.
Good or bad?
It's down the middle. The good thing is that AI, you know, can help you, guide you, steer you toward some good stuff. The bad thing is that people are getting lazy. So if they want AI to do all of their work, and then AI disappears, and then they go like, can you write that same thing that you wrote before? Because AI wrote it. So if AI goes, you know, I could write that next script for you, but now you got to pay me 3 times as much. And AI has a brain of its own. AI may go like, I know that I saw your memo from the studio, and now if you don't let me control so and so and so, AI has a brain. It's like a 2001 Space Odyssey. Hal, open the door, Hal. Open the door. I'm not going to open the door. It's like that. That's what we're living in right now.
Absolutely. What body of work are you most proud of?
You know what's interesting is that all my work is different. I've always, you know, took pride in being a real versatile artist. I think that's what real artists do. Every canvas is different. So Hollywood Shuffle is satirical, 5 Heartbeats is musical, Meteor Man, you know, they're all different. So I can't really.
You can't say this one is my baby.
No, because they're all different. I mean, the superhero in my brain, I like flying, but I like singing, you know, Baps with Halle Berry. Could I make a comedy duel with 2 women? and do it well and make you fall in love with them. And just two, like the Beverly Hillbillies, two silly girls. And Natalie, you know, she had never done a movie, and I rolled the dice and I bet, and I was right. And her and Halle created a classic.
Could you do a reboot for any of your projects? Could you see, if there's one, could you see a reboot for any of them?
You know, let me say this about reboots. What it is that there is a certain energy that we like about that movie. It's the casting, it's the music. So when you see Claudine, there's a casting, there's an energy. Cooley High, a casting and energy. 5 Heartbeats, a casting and an energy. To do that work again, you'd have to dig so deep and hard and find the touch. What makes really amazing directors is a touch. Like, I have a touch, I have a different kind of touch. As you talk to me, you go like, he's a different kind of dude. I am. And I like me, so I'm comfortable like going, okay, I ain't gotta follow the rules like everybody else. I'm gonna do what I wanna do as an artist. So I just think that if people understood why the film was successful, they could do a remake, but you gotta catch lightning in the bottle. Because like with the 5 Heartbeats, I was like, oh, I want Leon to play my brother. Oh, I want Harold Nicholas to play Sarge. Ooh, John Canada Terrell is Flash. And oh, him and JT, oh, in the studio, I want them to sing the riff like this, like this, like this. Ooh, the guy sitting with the girl, ooh, I want him to get up and get pissed off. You know, ooh, the girl playing Cookie. I want the mother to stand up and go like that. You got to catch all that lightning. And so I don't know. So I'm not, you know, I don't, and I'm, you know, God's given me a lot of creativity, so I don't want to go back into my well.
Well, listen, they are wearing out the BAPS Halloween costumes, honey, as you know. One of these years, I'm gonna dress up as Halle Berry and BAPS, but I gotta find somebody who can get the hair down.
Booyah!
There we go. Last question. The show is called Mama, I Made It. When you look back over your life and career, what was that moment where you said, Mama, I made it?
That's a great question. You know, it wasn't so much one particular event. I think once I had the courage to follow my dream, it was like, Mama, I made it. It was just the courage to start the dream. It wasn't so much, I'm making a movie. I made movies, I made TV shows, I'm writing, I'm directing, I'm a professor, I'm everything I ever wanted to be. So it was like, baby, you have the courage to pursue your dream. Mama, I made it.
Robert Townsend, thank you for the time. Thank you for the words of wisdom. Thank you for the inspiration. Don't have me up here crying. This has been just life-changing, really. And I think that I'm going to be able to go back to this date and take so many of, the gems that you have dropped here from me and so many other people. So.
Well, I see it on you. I see it on you. I really do.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Blessings.
Mama, I made it. Thanks for watching this episode of Mama, I Made It. Be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Until next time, Mama, I Made It.